Absolute Flash, issue 3, Jeff Lemire writing with Nick Robles on the art. All right, so we're still, playing with like the headspace a little bit, and like his mind's
Mm-hmm.
racing and flashing back to what happened with Barry, and basically we get the idea. The reason why Barry's body was in that cave before is because basically it was picked up in the upstream of like Wally running at super speed. Like, he sort of dragged it with him in like the current, if you will. At least that's what I think it was saying here. So I think that's pretty like weirdly horrific in a lot of ways. So, um, but yeah. So the interesting thing here is that the last issue ended with the Rogues unleashing Grodd, which obviously turned out to be very
Mm-hmm.
different than classic Grodd. And this monkey version of Grodd goes looking for Wally and finds him in a barn where he's sort of taking shelter for the time being.
Mm-hmm.
But they end up bonding in a weird way where Grodd does telepathically link to Wally, right? And it's kind
Mm-hmm.
of like Wally's big moments are all like, we're seeing him talking to his dad from before,
Uh-huh.
when he got hit with the lightning, talking to Barry,
Mm-hmm.
and then remembering some tragic stuff like his mum passing away. And that kind of links up with Grodd remembering his mother, seemingly.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it looks like anyway. And there's kind of a bonding thing here where as it goes on and the rogues come attacking, it seems like, no, Grodd's helping Wally. They've kind of become like a pair where they're realizing that they're both
Mm-hmm.
being mistreated and that they're both being hunted. So yeah, they kind of communicate telepathically, and obviously the lettering here does a good job of like showing this like little border around their bubbles when they're doing
Yep.
telepathic speech,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of cool. Uh, Plus, we also get the line "the effing monkey's gone rogue," which is funny.
Yep.
So
It's so
that's
good.
neat.
I was not expecting to literally like I will defend Absolute Grodd with my life. That is a damn adorable monkey. All right. And we all know I'm a big monkey guy, right? I love Kong, I love Grodd. Um I wasn't expecting him to have this tragic backstory and trauma
Just
bond with
for the
Wally.
record, neither of those examples are monkeys, but continue.
Yes, I know, but still. This one actually is though. Prehensile tail. Looks like it's a New World monkey. Um, don't know what kind because he's blue now. Looks like maybe. Anyways, I'm not getting into that. I'm not gonna do taxonomy on the show right now. But yeah, he's just a science experiment gone wrong, and we just get the tragic backstory of him being ripped from his mom, and and how that overlaps with Wally visiting his mom in her hospital bed, and then at the grave when he's real little. So just this trauma bond that gets him there. Um, and then that all builds to the monkey's gone rogue by Cold. And I was just like, oh my god, I think I have a new favorite absolute character.
Yeah.
And here he is.
So yeah, I mean, Wally does fight back. He ends up throwing his first proper like super speed punch, to Captain
Oh,
Boomerang. And he sticks with Grodd, and they go back to where Barry's body is, and basically for the first time since all this happened, he feels some sort of level headedness to everything. All of a sudden, the narration boxes aren't overlapping anymore. He's realizing
yeah.
that his old life is gone, and he's finding some comfort in accepting that because he was kind of
Mm-hmm.
struggling with that before. So he actually takes the Flash suit that was on Barry's body for himself. So the end of the issue is him fully suited up for the first time, running at super speed, and the little Grodd is like got his arms wrapped
Yep.
around his neck with a big smile on his face. So
Um, I don't know, but what's it called in a video game where you loot the body? I think that's just looting a body.
just looking, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's very funny that that's where he gets his first suit. It's not a dead man. Who we think is dead. I think it's going to be a little bit more complicated because of the idea of the Speed Force and what it is. Because it's still, he says he still feels like Barry's talking to him, right? But is that his memory? Is that something coming through the Speed Force? It's still unclear. Also, one of the techs that's working with the Rogues is named, or not the Rogues, with Wally's dad is Thawne, right? We get that name.
That's right, yeah.
So I'm wondering how much that's going to play in. But yeah, I definitely it feels like we this is the first big step in him becoming more Flash-like, right? Him taking on this suit, and with Grodd, his thoughts are seemingly more controlled. It's almost like it's his emotional support monkey. So we'll see how he goes. But yeah, he finally looks like you know what I would expect a Flash to look like.
I mean, I think this is still the weakest Absolute book.
Mhm.
It's an easy read for sure, and I do think there's a couple of moments here. I think Grodd being this friendly character, this ally of Wally here,
Mhm.
at least to begin with, is an interesting change. But you know, I do think the whole him running after like the disaster at the lab and like the rogues chasing him,
Mhm.
it does kind of feel like that's not advanced that much in 3 issues. Bizarrely, when I think about
Yeah.
like what's happened, there's been a lot of like flashing back to the moment where the accident happened, but
Mhm.
like you know, ultimately this is the first real development since he's been out like on the run
Mhm.
from them. You know, because it's really just been the rogues showing up and then him running away with some good
Yeah.
storytelling, sort of like mechanics and some good art, of course. But like, this feels like we're starting to step towards there being like more concrete plot details, and I think that's maybe the one thing that all the other Absolute books have got it beat in, is that there's a lot
Mhm.
more intrigue in what the stories are in all the other books. I think that's the one thing
Yeah.
this is lacking right now compared to them. But it's not bad though. I mean, if this is the weakest Absolute book, then we're you know we're in a
Still
pretty
pretty
good
good.
place. Yeah. So
Yeah. But yeah, I like that whole aspect of now we're kind of through the incident. Where are we going now? If we're still kind of holding in place by the next issue, then I can think I could start to be worried a little bit more,
yeah.
right? But now it feels like we're on the road to more progression, and I feel like that might just be a Lemire thing, because we were saying the same about his Justice Society. You know, that we were feeling that we weren't moving along, and we were just kind of in place. But with that one, there were so many different characters juggling this, that, and the other. Here, it just seems like you said, we're in one place for the first 3 issues.
Mm.
But here he's got the suit, he's got the goggles, emotional support monkey, and we're good to go.
Yeah, I mean the suit just kind of feels like whatever. Like, okay, he decides to pick up the suit from Barry. Fine, I guess. Like, I'll just roll with it. But it doesn't feel like a natural evolution necessarily. Um, but hey, I mean they are still pretty solid though. The layouts are good. The way it
Yeah,
flows. There's a lot of good techniques in there. We talked about it a bit more in the last issue, so I won't go into it too much here. But what are you giving Absolute Flash?
I'm gonna give this a straight 7.
Yeah, I think a 7 out of 10 sounds about right. I agree with that.